I go by
Nice to
Shark.
meet you too. Yeah, Shark. I've got that here. I was trying to figure. I was wondering. Well, how did you end up coming up with that? Is that from your swimming or?
Yes, from swimming, exactly. I've been a competitive swimmer since I was 7 years old, since I was a little kid. And yeah, long story short, through swimming. But I kind of chose that nickname for myself because I grew up in Ukraine, and in Ukraine, it's common for kids to give each other funny nicknames and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm not letting anybody give me a nickname. I'm gonna choose my own nickname. And so I chose that nickname. And as you can tell, I'm into tattoos, right? So my very first tattoo was a shark, and here we are.
Yeah, I can't take the mick out of that name. That's a pretty good name.
Appreciate it.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah. So through the swimming in Ukraine, can you tell me a bit about that? That does sound pretty cool. I saw something about the junior Ukraine champion.
Yes, correct. So swimming, yeah, like I said, I grew up a swimmer since I started when I was 7 years old. I didn't choose that though. I didn't ask my mom and dad, be like, hey, I want to learn how to swim or to play any sport for that matter. My parents brought me to the swimming club, and it was their initiative. And the purpose of that was just for general health, because swimming is a healthy sport, low risk of injuries. It's a full body workout, and it's a important life skill, right? To be able to know how to swim. So this was their intention. They didn't have any plans for me to become a pro or become a competitive athlete, anything like that. But I started, and I was doing well, starting at when I was like very young, like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. I started to begin to participate in local competitions, like in the region where I'm from in Ukraine. And then I believe when I was 13, I went either 12 or 13. I went to my first Ukrainian national championships, and I
Wow.
placed 34th. But then a year after, I went to my second Ukrainian national championships, and I placed second.
Oh,
And
that's a massive progression there.
yeah, yeah, because I went to my very first and I placed 34th, and I was like, man, I mean, I was like, I suck, right? All these kids beat me, but still, in my country, in my age category, I can play something. I mean, not 34th is not a place, like, but I was
No, but
like,
it got you
okay,
the
at least
motivation.
I'm ranked now. And I got motivated to do better and swim faster. And my second ever Ukrainian national championship, I became second. And I placed second and third many, many times, but 2 times I became a champion.
That is really impressive. That jump from first to second attempt, that's a massive jump.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Um, so I saw after that, so the move from Ukrainian swimming to Pennsylvania State
Yeah,
Athletic was. So how did you transition from there to the Pennsylvania State champion in swimming?
good question. So when I was 18 years old, I was swimming in Ukraine, and at that point, all I was dreaming about is to be an Olympian and
Hmm.
represent Ukraine at the Olympic Games. That was everything that I care about at that moment. But on April 15th, 2010, I remember that day like it was yesterday. I had a cardiac arrest, which happened during swimming practice. Uh, it's a long story, kind of. You can find videos on my Instagram where I describe that day in detail.
I have seen some. Yeah, I saw some.
Yeah. So basically, I had a cardiac arrest. My heart stopped for about 40 minutes, but then ambulance came and they got me out of that state, and then I was hospitalized. And through testing and stuff, they found out that I was born with a genetic heart condition called Wolff Parkinson White syndrome. And that heart condition basically caused one of the ways in my heart to close, to block, when I had a physical intensive, right, hard work, right, my heart rate got up and blood was pumping in and out, and then there was one of the things that blocked one of the ways in my heart, which later caused my heart to stop. um Anyways, so long story short, that I was diagnosed with a heart condition, and I had a month after my cardiac arrest, I had a surgery performed on me, which fixed the problem, right? Which fits the doctor, very top professional in Ukraine, who performed surgery on me. She said that the problem is fixed and this should never happen again. However, the doctors didn't give me a green light to continue a competitive athletic
Ah,
career.
yeah,
So they told me, working out for fitness and, for general health is encouraged, but they highly do not recommend that I continue extreme physical intensive, workouts and stuff like that, and being, trying to participate,
of course, yeah.
at a competitive level, right? But that, however, was not an option for me. And so, yeah, long story short, again, is I looked for a way, how can I continue my competitive swimming career? And so I had a friend, and I still have them. I have this friend who, at that point, was going to college in the United States, and he was on an athletic scholarship as an NCAA swimmer, right? And I said, hey, can you help me? Maybe I can get into American college. And if I don't tell anybody about my heart condition, if I just tell them about my swimming results, maybe I can get a scholarship and come to the United States and try to continue my swimming career here. So this is exactly what we did. We sent my portfolio, resume about my swimming results, about who I am, to a lot of NCAA programs, the Division 1, Division 2, and Westchester University, which is a strong Division 2 school, was the first school to give me a full scholarship, full ride. And yeah, I came to Pennsylvania.
That is a pretty crazy transition there as well. It's pretty your motivation to do that. That is really impressive. The fact that they told you not to and you're just like, no, I'm doing that anyway. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
that is pretty impressive. I like that. That is really
I
impressive.
just couldn't see myself. I couldn't see myself not being an athlete anymore. Like
Yeah,
swimming at that
yeah.
point of my life, swimming, everything I knew, swimming was everything that I cared about. And for whatever reason, to end that like this, when I was still full of motivation to
Mhm.
compete and maximize my potential as an athlete, that was not an option for me. And I believe, that was a sign from the above. I believe the fact that it played out the way it did play out was a sign for me that it was time to move on in my life and come to the United States. And at that time, my girlfriend, who is now my wife, she was already planning to come to the United States to go to college. So again, the all the pieces of the puzzle got put together this way, so I would come to the United States. And look, here we are, right? I came to the
Yeah.
United States, and in after cardiac arrest, I improved my swimming results to I took them to a whole new level. I swam way faster in the United States after my cardiac arrest than I did back in Ukraine when I was a junior national champion. So yeah, man, yeah, everything happened for a reason.
I mean, you're a record holder still, aren't you? In
In
swimming.
uh in Pennsylvania, yes, I still hold
Yeah.
I believe I still hold the PSAC record, which is Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference, and I still hold a um, I believe I still hold the school record at Westchester University, and I still hold the pool record, which was originally set by U.S. Olympian and world champion Brendan Hansen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is everything come into place. You still hold those records and nobody's beat them yet, so that is definitely something. How did you go from that then, from swimming into getting into boxing coaching? 'Cause I saw about Box and Burn. and you worked
Yeah,
your way through box and burn. But how did you transition from swimming to that?
yeah. So, although I grew up a swimmer, boxing was always my favorite sport. And even growing up, even when I was a swimmer, I remember times when I would ask my parents to sign me up for boxing classes. But my parents were always against that. They were saying that it's a violent sport, people get hurt, people get brain damage and this and that. And you know what? I don't blame them, right? But this was their reasoning. So they never, whenever I wanted and had desires to box in Ukraine, my parents were against that. So, I wasn't making any money, so I couldn't pay for boxing class. And my parents didn't want to sign me up. And at the same time, I was already a solid level swimmer. So I just stuck to swimming. So in Ukraine, it never worked out. But then after all this cardiac arrest and after I came to the United States, the way I was a college swimmer. So, and the way it works in college, there's seasons. And in college, swimming season is about 7 months long. So 7 months in the year you're in season and you train and compete, and then 5 months of the year you're out of season and you just train and there's no competition going on. And so it was a perfect opportunity for me to get started with boxing. So my freshman year, once the swimming season was over, I found a local boxing gym in Westchester. I joined and I began to train seriously, and um, that actually worked out perfectly for me because it was a very different workout, but it helped me develop my body and my endurance and my muscles in a different way. And there's no doubt that it helped me improve my swimming as well, because every next season in college, I swam faster than the previous season. Sophomore year, I swam faster than freshman. Junior year, I swam faster than sophomore. And senior year, I swam faster than junior. And every off season, I would do boxing to maintain my shape, right? I would swim like 2 to 3 times a week to just kind of keep my swimming shape and keep the feeling of the water. But I would box every day just because I love it so much. And
That
and it helped and it worked out. And then when my eligibility to compete as an NCAA swimmer was up, I just dove into boxing. And yeah. And after after I graduated college, with my fiance already, not a girlfriend, we moved to LA. Oh no, sorry, we already got married at that point. We got married in 2006, 17. We got engaged in 2016, got married in 2017, and that's when we moved to LA. And that's when I decided to become a personal trainer. And I found Box and Burn, which is a boxing and fitness gym. It's not a competitive boxing gym, not for pros. It's for people who want to do boxing as a means of physical training, for fitness, for working out, for having fun, for learning these amazing skills. So yeah, that's how I began my journey as a trainer and as a coach.
I saw it on, I think it was a Tony Jeffries podcast. I think that was where he was talking about your climb of the ranks through the coaching in box and burn and everything like that. That was I did listen to that. What is it like? Have you trained with Tony?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. I actually just left Box and Burn recently, but I left on good terms. I had to move on. This was better for me, and I believe it's better for them as well. Um, I'm still in good relationship with Tony and Kevin and Box and Burn. It's a great gym. I learned a lot there. I met so many great coaches, people. I learned a lot from Tony and Kevin and Glenn and all those guys at Box and Burn. Yeah, I've been there for 3.5 years, and it's been amazing. I've achieved a new level again in my life as a person, as a coach, as an athlete. And yeah, I'm very grateful. Tony's a great guy. He knows his shit when it comes to boxing, when it comes to business, and they do it well there. So yeah.
Yeah, I saw as well that so you were or are a Special Olympics coach. I saw that
I am.
written. You are still, yes. So what's that about? Why did you decide to get into that? What was your
So I got
motivation for
into
that?
that when I was in college. I got into that when I was in college. It was actually uh, a class that I took in Westchester University. It was all about Special Olympics and kids with disabilities, right? And I learned a lot about all kinds of different disabilities. And when I was taking those classes in college, um, I got an opportunity to work with kids. And then the teacher the professor who was teaching those classes, that was her profession, right? She was working, but she ran a Special Olympics basketball team. She ran a Special Olympics soccer team. She ran a Special Olympics swimming team. And so I got an opportunity to work with Special Olympic swimmers and coach them and get certified in that. I didn't do it for long. I did it for 2 seasons, but it was a great experience for me. And again, great. I'm happy that I was able to work with a bunch of kids who have disabilities and help them improve their swimming skills and yeah, level up.
Do you
It was
see
great.
yourself doing that to a larger scale? Do you see yourself trying to do that as a bigger thing? Special Olympics coaching?
I'll be honest, I don't see myself doing that um, in the future because, you know, although it's great, but at the same time, it's very heartbreaking,
Yeah.
and you have to be made for that, you know. And I applaud everybody who's in it, to all the coaches, to all the people who work with kids and people with disabilities. I applaud them. I respect them. But you have to be made for that, and I guess I am not, you know. I enjoyed it when I was doing it, but it was very hard mentally, and yeah, that's all I can say about that.
Yeah, I mean that's understandable. That is understandable. You do have to have the mindset to be able to do that at the same time as care for the people as
Yeah,
well. Yeah, I
because
understand.
every day you see those people go through pain, you know. They go through
Of
pain,
course.
they go through suffering. Unfortunately, they cannot enjoy life to the degree and to the potential that people who don't have disabilities enjoy life, you know. Unfortunately, they don't. But at the same time, there's a beautiful thing about it, because although they are limited in some way, right, in the way they move, in the way they see, in the way they hear, and the way they uh, experience life, but with the ways they can experience life, they maximize that.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
there is a beauty in that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, so you said when you were growing up, you used to watch boxing. Was there anyone specifically that inspired you back then? Because I mean, it's
Absolutely, Mike Tyson.
yeah, Mike Tyson.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Big fan of Mike Tyson. Growing up a swimmer, I had Mike Tyson's posters. I didn't have Michael Phelps posters on my wall, but I had Mike Tyson's
Yeah.
poster on my wall, which is funny. But yeah, definitely. And going off of that, you know, I was growing up, I wasn't a very confident kid. I had self-esteem issues. I didn't know how to fight. And in Ukraine, and not just in Ukraine, a lot of kids will relate to that. But I've been bullied. I've got into fights and I lost fights, you know. And I would always look at Mike Tyson and I would think, man, that guy is such a beast. Nobody would ever mess with that guy. Nobody would ever try to come to that guy and try to bully him or mess with him. So that inspired me, and I looked at him and I was like, man, maybe I can learn how to fight like him and and express confidence and become a alpha guy like him, you know. And that's what got me really motivated. That's what sparked that motivation to do boxing in me. And no doubt about that, yes, Mike Tyson was the reason why I fell in love with boxing, for sure.
That is crazy. It's pretty crazy how what an individual figure can affect someone's life in that way, isn't it? It's pretty crazy.
Yes, yes, it is crazy. It is fascinating. It is
It's
awesome,
very,
you know.
yeah. I saw you were posting Mike Tyson combos the other day as well. You still following in the well
Uh,
interest in Mike Tyson.
Absolutely, yes. I follow him on social media. I've seen a lot of documentaries about him. I just recently, when he made a comeback to boxing and had a match with Roy Jones Jr., I watched that live, and it was awesome to see him at 54 years old,
I know.
to be in such a phenomenal shape and get in the ring again. I mean, come on, how you
Yeah.
not respect that man? It's just he's a living legend, and I you know I really hope that I get a chance to meet him one day and maybe take a picture and shake his hand, because wow, he influenced my life in so many positive ways. And yeah, he was truly, although there was many um, things about him and his persona that a lot of media, uh, painted about him that as a negative and stuff. And who doesn't, right? Every person has positive things and negative things about them. Everybody makes mistakes, but I never looked at anything negative about Mike Tyson, and I did never saw anything negative about him, and yeah, all that I did see, and what all that I took from him for myself was always positive. And yeah, totally a living legend. And since I was a little kid, I admired him and look at him as a role model, and still do in many ways.
I'm sure he'd be glad to hear that as well. I'm sure if you met him and told him that, I'm sure he'd be happy to hear that himself.
I'm sure a lot of people tell him that, but if I do meet him, uh, I will definitely be the person who would tell him that again, for sure.
So you said as well about your parents didn't like you doing boxing. So obviously now you do it as a form of, well, to help people do it as a form of exercise. So if someone were to say they didn't want to do boxing because of, well, people say they don't do boxing because they might get hurt or they don't like the fighting side of things. What would you say to people like that when it comes to say boxing for fitness or boxercise?
Yeah, I would say boxing, doesn't you don't have to be a competitive boxer to do boxing. It's an amazing way to train your body and mind. Eh, It's an amazing skill that you can possess at all times, that nobody can take away from you, that you can use as a means of self-defense, right? It gives you confidence in yourself. It's just, there's so many benefits. I can talk about this for hours,
Yeah.
right? Um, the endurance that it gives you, the cardiovascular exercise, the boxing. You When you train boxing, it goes by rounds, right? And the round is not over until it's over. And there will be, when you train boxing, even for fitness, you will find yourself in plenty of moments and plenty of situations when the round is not over yet, but your body is screaming in pain, and your mind is telling you, please stop, please quit, but you can't. And the round is not over until it's over. And that's when you're not just training your body, you also train your mind, you train your
Yeah.
willpower, you train your grit, you train your discipline, you train your perseverance, you train all those mental qualities that a lot of other physical forms of training maybe can train. And that's the beautiful thing about boxing. And boxing is absolutely for anybody. I don't care who you are. You can be a kid, you can be a woman, you can be an elderly person. It's never too late to start it. And there's so many benefits that you can um, take away from it, regardless of who you are, how old are you, where you from. Yeah, it's beautiful. Boxing, that's why I love about boxing. Like, you know, by no means again I regret anything about my past, and that my parents didn't allow me to do boxing when I was younger. It's again, I believe that everything happens the way it's supposed to. So for me, it was perfect. Now I'm in boxing, but I don't do boxing for a competition. I work with people who want to do boxing to become better themselves, to become a better version of themselves. And it's a beautiful thing. So I'm very blessed and grateful to be in this position.
I feel like a lot of people need to hear that too, because I do know there is quite a lot of people when you try and introduce them to boxing, they will see it as obviously it's seen as a fighting style or a combat sport, but they don't see the side of it which is fitness and physical training. So that's why boxercise exists, but it's still seen as boxing. So I think a lot of people do need to hear that sort of thing to
Absolutely.
introduce themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great form of exercise. I mean, look at top boxers in the world.
Yeah,
They're in amazing shape. They are in amazing shape. You know, to be a good boxer, you have to be in shape, period. It's as simple as that. But if you don't want to fight, it's cool. You know, you can still do boxing and experience this amazing ex- experiences that boxers do, minus getting punched in the head,
yeah.
minus taking the damage, minus, you know, the violence. You can do all of that minus all of those things, right? And isn't it beautiful? I think it is. So yeah, boxing is absolutely for everybody, I think.
And just mentioning the fitness as well, I just realized that I think swimming is supposed to be one of the most fitness inducing sports as well. So you've had the best of both worlds. You've had boxing and swimming, the two best sports you
Yeah,
can have for fitness.
yeah, but it's so different, Cameron. It's so very different because when I started boxing my freshman year of college, at the moment I signed up for a boxing gym, right? The 2 weeks, a week before that, I won a Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference title. So I was a Pennsylvania
Okay.
champion in swimming. And when I signed up for boxing, and when I started boxing, I was like, man, this is so hard. Like, I felt like I was out of shape, although I was in my top swimming condition, you know. But
Yeah.
when I started boxing, I was like, man, I feel like I'm out of shape. But yeah, it's very different. But again, it this is again a beautiful thing about it, because even if you think you're in, even if you think you're in shape, you gotta try boxing. Boxing will humble you and prove you otherwise.
Yeah.
You can still level up. There's still plenty of areas and ways you can improve yourself. And yeah, boxing will tell you that.
That's the thing. Even the top tier boxers, like people, the world champion boxers, will say that even they still have to level up. Obviously, every boxer will lose and every boxer will win, but they still have time to level up. So yeah, you're right. There is always boxing will humble you. Oh, it will definitely humble
Absolutely.
you.
There's no ceiling in this game. No ceiling.
No.
You can always level up. No matter how good you are, you can always find ways to improve, for sure.
So then a question about boxing, the sport, the fight upcoming. Anthony Joshua and Fury. What are your picks on that? What are you thinking about
You know, I'm
that?
not a great picker. You know, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
like picking fights. I never bet on boxing or sports, never bet in my life. And I don't like to pick a winner
Oh,
unless there's a fighter I'm cheering for and I'm biased, right? Like I will always look like, for in boxing, for example, um, there may be a match and one of the boxers is a huge favorite, but I don't care about it. I will still choose for the other boxer because I'm a fan of
like
that
Tyson,
boxer.
I'm
Does
guessing,
that
like
make
in the
sense?
Tyson
Exactly,
fight.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So I never pick I don't, because there's also many things that go into the outcome of the fight. Listen, there may be two boxers going into the fight, right? Let's call them boxer A, boxer B. A boxer A is way more prepared and way more skilled, and on paper he's a huge favorite, and everybody thinks he will win this upcoming fight, right? But the night before the fight, he gets a terrible night of sleep. Let's say the night before the fight, he gets a call and somebody tells him that his friend died, or his grandma died, or his dog died, or he eats something, he gets a food poisoning, or on the way to the ring, he twists his ankle.
Mm.
Can happen, right? All of these things, nobody ever thinks about that shit. A boxer can get in a fight with his wife before the fight, and the outcome of the fight is going to be different because his mental state is not going to be the same. So for there's a million things that can happen 10 seconds before the fight, and the outcome of the fight is going to be different. So for those reasons, I never pick. I don't like to pick a winner. um so yeah.
I like
That's
it.
kind of
No,
my
I like
question.
that reasoning. I do like that reasoning. It's not necessarily the two fighters in the ring. It's all of these different factors. That is a good way to see it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't
So
expecting
yeah.
that answer. Really, that caught me off guard. That was a good one. So the last thing really I have to ask is for people. Obviously, the stuff you've done is pretty inspirational and stuff to envy. The way you've progressed through everything, moved and just kept going. The motivation you've had to just keep going. What sort of advice would you give to someone who wants to get like achieve their goals but don't know necessarily how to approach it?
You just have to go for it. That's it. You have to realize that you might die tomorrow. I got to experience death. Actually, I died and came back to life in 2010. Last year I fought cancer and almost died. I was diagnosed with late stage cancer. A lot of people die from cancer. So for me, what keeps me going and makes me want to be do the best that I can is the fact that I'm still alive and I could be dead already. And I don't want to waste my life. I want to be the best I can be and maximize my full potential in everything that I do, in everything that I'm passionate about. Um, all your life is today, right? Tomorrow is not promised. Yesterday is gone. Yesterday is memory. Tomorrow is imagination. All life is this moment and all you got today. So ask yourself, what is it that you love? What is it that you care about? Who is it that you love? Who is it that you care about? And invest your time into those things and people. It's as simple as that. Um, I always tell people, treat your time the same way as if you treated your money, right? You Time is a finite thing, just like money. You have finite amount of money today. I don't care if you're a billionaire, you have a finite amount of money. It can end, right? Same thing with time. Uh, Everybody has a finite amount of time. Everybody has 24 hours a day. An average person sleeps 8 hours of that day. So they have 16 hours left in the day. So ask yourself, how are you investing 16 hours that you're awake? Everybody invests their time into things and people. So ask yourself, who and what are you investing your time in? Are you investing your time wisely? Maybe not. Maybe you waste your time on bullshit. Maybe you let people, random people, you know, pull your awareness into distract you in many ways, and you're wasting your time that way. For me, I found what I love and who I love, and I live one day at a time, investing my time into people who I love and into things that I love. And that way I'm maximizing my potential. in my life.
That is the best way to go about it. That is the best way to go about it.
I
That
appreciate
is,
it, Cameron.
yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise.